the algorithm creators learned our children's brains way better than we parents know our children's brains. Now we are in a new era of parenting. We are now directly in competition with algorithms that are predating on our children's attention and attachment. And they are going to rival you in every way because they are shinier, glossier, they are adapted to your child. What do children need the most? Children need safety, soothing, a sense of security, to feel significant, right? To feel like they belong. And in order for those ingredients to be rooted, the parent needs to be acutely present and bonded and connected.
My next guest is a global wisdom teacher whose work sits at the intersection of psychology, mindfulness, and spiritual awakening. Dr. Shefali is a 3-time New York Times bestselling author and the founder of Conscious Parenting and the Life Coaching Institute, where she has trained more than 1,200 coaches worldwide.
For them to be on social media is hell.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to find themselves through these curated feeds that are irrational, unreliable, unrealistic, and the bar is so high, right? Look at these women on social media. You never see them out on the street, but they're on everything, every post, curated, filtered, doctored, edited. And it really puts pressure on the girl to want to be like that because she's mirroring. She's finding herself through that. And she's finding that she can't be that. Who looks like that? Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? So she wonders who she is because she's not getting real feedback about who she really is in real time.
I invited her to Whole Plus because true healing requires more than just treating symptoms. It requires understanding the unconscious beliefs driving how we show up in our relationships, our work, our parenting, and our daily lives. Today, we're unpacking what it really takes to awaken ourselves and create emotional freedom for the next generation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Shafali to the show. Okay, before we jump in, quick health check. Are you subscribed yet? You'd be surprised how many people forget the one click that actually helps them feel better every week. Go ahead, hit it. Around here, we turn science into self-care you can actually use. Let's get started. Dr. Shefali, I am so honored that you're here. I've been wanting to meet you for a really, really long time. I've seen your work. I know how involved you're in when it comes to parenting and the space of conscious parenting. And I'm excited for our audience to learn more about this. One of the things I know, and I was actually looking at some of your bio and notes, and I was like, I wish I had dug into this earlier in my parenting career because now my children are 16 and 18. And so much of what you say resonates. So thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And let's just jump right in. Talk to us about conscious parenting. What does that even mean?
Well, so this whole approach that I've pioneered called conscious parenting is really, now it's become such a thing.
Right.
But back then when I talked about it first in 2010, my book, The Conscious Parent, came out. Nobody was talking about how the parent needs to really examine themselves.
Right.
And how every moment that they are with their children is an opportunity to look in the mirror and to observe, to be alert to all the ways that we project our needs, our wants, our fears, our expectations on our children. And conscious parenting is about turning the spotlight within so that you can look at yourself and raise yourself.
And so as parents, walking into parenting itself can be very challenging and overwhelming, right? Especially as brand new parents. What do we as parents need to be thinking about as we're entering this journey? Or if we're like me in the middle of this journey, or even kind of as our children are about to leave the home, how does that become practical and tactical for us? What are things that we need to be thinking about or looking at as we are trying to examine ourselves, examine our behaviors, our impulses, those type of things?
Yeah, there's so much that parents need to pay attention to. And that's why I wrote these books, one for daughters, one for sons, because we are now in an unprecedented era where parenting has to up level itself like never before.
It's
Because,
exhausting.
yeah, it's now at another level because we are competing with these algorithms that are so designed to manipulate, exploit, and profit off our children's attention and attachment. So, what do children need the most? Children need safety, soothing, a sense of security, to feel significant, right? To feel like they belong. And in order for those ingredients to be rooted, the parent needs to be acutely present and bonded and connected. It doesn't mean you have to be hands-on 24/7, but you have to
Right.
be present. And given that we all are so distracted, right? When I wrote my
Guilty.
first book, The Conscious Parent, in 2010, I had a hard time focusing,
Yeah.
right? And I never carried a phone in my pocket back then.
Right.
So can you only imagine
Right.
how much we're missing? I mean, when you go on a train ride, you go on the plane, nobody's looking up. So children need that attuned, their mirror neurons need to be turned on to understand who they are in relationship with their caregivers. I doubt a lot of that is happening today. And this is why technology can be so dangerous for our children, because it's ready to sneak in. It's always available. It makes them feel safe because they're in a bubble.
Right.
It makes them feel secure. It makes them feel significant because it's always, if you go to ChatGPT, it'll always tell you you're right.
I know.
Right? So it's not real life. Real life is messy. It's nuanced. It's emotional. It's where you learn how to be regulated within yourself. So a huge dependence on technology is teaching our children to outsource their regulation to these. We do it, right? Every time we're bored, every time we're waiting, we
Guilty.
regulate ourselves through the phone. But when we were growing up, we regulated ourselves through our internal regulation system. So children are missing a lot of what they need today because parents are distracted and parents are outsourcing their parenting. And the algorithm is just too amazing. It's too powerful. It's too alluring.
Australia just banned social media
Yes.
for children. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's too late, right? It's not that, I'm not happy with anything. Of course, it's amazing.
It should have happened a long time
It should have
ago.
happened a long time
Yeah.
ago. We shouldn't even be at this place where I've had to write these books.
Yeah.
The only reason I was even inspired to write these books is because I saw that now we are in a new era of parenting. We are now directly in competition with algorithms that are predating on our children's attention and attachment. And they are going to rival you in every way because they are shinier, glossier. They are adapted to your child.
And addictive.
Yeah, because they're adapted.
I had the roughest time with my daughter the day she got her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the roughest time with my daughter prior to that because her friends in her elementary school got a phone. And I was the mother who would not allow that. And the battles in our home and the behaviors that ensued and the things that she was getting exposed to created such a wide rift between the two of us. I don't know that I was emotionally regulated in dealing with some of those
Right.
battles, to be 100% honest. But now as she's, 18 years old and, ready to start her next chapter, she's grateful and kind of on her own realizes the insidiousness of social media and the phone and the distractibility. But I'm thinking about, as I'm sure you are, all these parents that are walking into this space completely unprepared and not realizing that that phone and that technology is such a weapon against them. And that a community that kind of poo-poos it or like enables it is another enemy against those of us that are trying to let our children be children, What would you say to parents of younger children, parents of middle school age children, teenagers, how do we handle those situations? I didn't have an answer back then. It was a fight. It continued to be a fight until we finally caved and she got a phone in, like, I think it was 7th or 8th grade, but that was late in comparison to her peers, and we felt and she felt like we were the weird ones. How do we help support parents in these decisions as they move forward? What would you want not just parents to know, but communities of parents to know as well?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I wrote these books, is so that parents have the language to understand what children need and why technology is eroding that,
Yeah.
right? Research shows that the minute you introduce digital learning, it actually reduces the child's attention and their capacity to learn. And when parents are scaffolded with this knowledge, with this awareness, then they can scaffold their children, right? But if the parent is unaware of what are the risks and why, what technology offers will actually rival your own parenting and actually put you in competition, like you said.
Right.
You and the phone were in a power struggle.
We were in a complete
Yeah,
power struggle.
Yeah. And suddenly you're fighting this unknown entity, and it's now a third variable in your life, you, your daughter, and the phone.
Right.
And her relationship with the phone is taking center stage. And I cannot tell you, countless families have come to me telling me how the phone or the screen or the video game has taken center stage in the family axis, in the triangle, in the,
So what do we do?
Well, we need to understand that this is dangerous for young minds. Just like we protect them from crack cocaine and alcohol and nicotine, this is another drug. In fact, even more invidious, more dangerous. And we need to not only create boundaries, we need to really double down on our attention, on our presence, on our connection. There's a lot we can do. But we need to be aware of the dangers. And that's why in this book, I outline scientifically why it's dangerous, but then I give real tools. So, for example, the other day I was with a family who was so upset because their 8th grade boy was addicted to video games and wouldn't leave his room, wasn't coming to have a shower.
Right.
They're like, the room has eaten him up. The video games have swallowed my son, right? And they did not want to fight him because every time they did, it was World War III.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So what I have been training these parents to do, and it's all in the book, is you don't take out the drug without creating a replacement. So keep that. Stop fighting about it, because the more you fight about it, the more the child is drawn to get his connection and dopamine and security and safety from the screen. So don't do that. What you do is you start on the side rebuilding your connection, rebuilding your foundation. And for boys especially, you take them out. You meaning on the court, on the field,
anywhere,
run outside, because boys regulate through their body. Girls can process. Girls can cry. And I don't mean this, I know these are stereotypes and I know culture, but they are very brain,
they're true.
But they're brain-based,
Yeah.
There are physiological, biological differences between how boys behave and girls behave that are innate. And of course, there's crossover and there's intersection, and culture plays a big role, of course. But boys, they're physical, they're kinetic. So I was training these parents that every day, let him go on the screen, but just before he goes or just after, take him outside and play with him and keep him active and keep him regulated and keep him moving. And the more you do this without touching this, like let him do his regular screen.
So it's not like, okay, your screen time is up or this.
No,
is up,
you
or
should
that
have
is
some
up.
boundaries around screen time. You like maximum 2 hours a day. That's a lot.
Right. That's tons,
right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is don't take it out cold turkey because you haven't replaced it with another regulatory system. So first create another regulatory system, create the connection, create the ritual, create the bonding, create the let's move every day. And then you can create stricter boundaries around
So
the
connection first.
connection has to be first. You can't take it away and then you not be home and you not be present and you be distracted
So
because
hard.
they're looking for something, right? The algorithm creators learned our children's brains way better than we parents know our children's brains.
This is so wrong in every way. But what do we tell parents that are just busy? We were in that boat, two working parents, gone a lot, doing different things, deep in different issues outside of the home, right? Or sometimes even
But
inside of the home.
listen, what would you tell a parent who says, there's crack and cocaine in the neighbor's house and I'm too busy? It is that dire.
The phone is equivalent to crack.
It
and
can be
cocaine.
because it can be so addictive. And it creates a lot of offshoot problems like because the algorithm is adaptive, right?
Mm-hmm.
What your daughter is seeing, forget that it's all fake and filtered and
Right.
bullshit,
Right.
right? What she is seeing is only what she is seeing.
Right.
So I'm not even seeing what she's seeing. You're not even seeing what she's seeing. So I call it in the book false reality syndrome because everyone has a false reality of reality. Like we don't know what reality is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop knowing what a shared reality is, you stop being human. Like we are here because we have a shared story.
So are you worried with like AI and relationships and
it's the
who
end of
they're going to choose to partner with and how are they going to partner? Are you worried about these things?
Right. Partnering is such a lofty dream. It's like
we're not even there yet.
Not even there. Let's talk about how are they going to regulate? Yes, how are they going to partner? But before even how they're going to partner is how are they going to regulate? I see myself. There's not a moment, oh, my train is late. Okay, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, email.
I mean, I drove into the city to see you today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like embarrassed to say, I don't think I noticed a single street. And before I used to notice every shop facade and the new restaurants. And I used to pay attention to people huddled. Now it is winter, so, not no one's looking all happy, but I miss the whole thing. And I was working. But we've become so addicted to work.
Mm-hmm.
We've become so addicted to money. We are rapacious and hungry and greedy now. And not you, I'm just saying
in general.
all of us.
Yeah.
And not even for money, but for status, for being busy. Well, when you have children, at least for the first 10, 12 years, you have to be present. I mean, if you're lucky and you have a slew of amazing nannies who have PhDs in child psychology, great. But this is the trade-off of having
children.
children.
The nannies in child psychology,
they're on the phone, yeah.
Like, are they really going to connect with our children?
Right.
Right.
And children need reliability. My daughter's 23. Just the other day, she said, all I like is your presence.
Yeah.
I like your presence around me. And it was so apropos because that's all they need. But they need presence. Presence is not just being present. It's being attuned, available, focused, resourced, ready to be attuned. Go, yeah, like in synchrony with your children. Not a checked out, just the body there person,
So this is, I'm embarrassed to say that I've been incredibly busy for most of my child rearing years. And it's something I think about a lot when I'm advising younger women as they enter, like I'm always like, I don't advise doing what I did. We did it unaware. We did it kind of blind. We walked into it. And I think there has to be some training of young women and young girls and young men as they enter into a family dynamic of what the stress threshold is, what the hum of cortisol is within that family, so that somebody has the ability to regulate not only themselves, but whatever's happening with the children. But I think what I see on my end frequently with my patients and with friends and everybody else is that it's two very stressed out people, maybe two very high powered people, or two people having to work very hard, just due to the standard of living demands nowadays, who themselves are very stressed and not self-regulated, coming into a home and not being just physically or emotionally able to be present for these children that are so
Right.
desperately needing us right now. And I think, is there a way for parents to check themselves? Is there education we can start giving young families or even midpoint families? And I'm sure with the 23-year-old, you're going to tell me parenting never ends. So even like later in life, how can we check ourselves a little bit?
Well, we are blessed and privileged to be living in a time where we've kind of deconstructed those institutions that were so rigid that you had to get married, you had to have children.
Right.
So now we have more opportunity, we have more options, we have more choices. And I seriously, advocate for women really thinking hard if they have that maternity, that maternal energy, and for fathers, if they're willing to do this. Because don't do this
if you can't.
If you can't, don't do it just to check a box anymore, because children are a full-time job, and the most important job you can do, I think. And some of it is, annoying and frustrating and, brain-chewingly numbing. But this is what it is.
Yeah.
They're little, they want to play, they're messy, they're chaotic, they're not predictable, they're not a shiny trophy. They're just, day to day, moment by moment. So do it with this awareness that you're going to have to really be resourced to provide that level of wisdom and compassion and understanding and patience.
Where does community and extended family fit into this equation?
If you're lucky and you have amazing community, you've won the lotto, because the very fact that we're raising children in this nuclear isolated 2-person stressed out, if 2-person, many
sometimes it's not even two,
is untenable. It's just not possible. And then that poor single mother who's trying to do everything, she's trying to go to work, she's trying to raise her children, and she's burning out. It is impossible. Even with a male partner or a female partner, it is impossible. So we do need to call in kindred community or build community, right? The other day I was talking to a single mother and I said, you have to take your son to big brothers, big sisters, and get him a mentor, because you cannot do it.
Yeah.
Right? Especially boys need male mentors, because they have a different connection than, say, a male and a female. Because older boys know what it's about, and they can guide them through these rites of initiation into manhood.
Yeah.
And our boys are missing that.
They are missing that. I was raised in a very dysfunctional way. I'm just going to be 100% honest. I don't need to go into all the details and stuff like that. And one of the things I promised myself when I got married is that we would create community for our children, right? Regardless of differences or misunderstandings or things like that. And so one of the things that my 2 children have had that I personally did not have is aunts and uncles and
amazing
grandmothers. And, we were very isolated. My parents were immigrants. We were very isolated. We had nobody. And so I would also, A, want your opinion, and B, advocate for the fact that, like, I know a lot of people will put their boxing gloves up and not want community or not want somebody from the family to help out. But if we can make peace with those people, they're kind of our advocates too. Usually, as long as they're healthy, they can be advocates as well for this fatigue and exhaustion that families are going through today. I mean, my mother has had to intervene between my daughter and I. She's been a game changer, because she is today a different person than the woman who raised me, right? And it's been just a voice of reason. My 2 sisters have stepped in so many times, over and over again. These are people, my sister-in-law, like all of them have come together at different moments to be like, okay, we're a sounding board for people in this structure. I know a lot of people don't have that, but I know also a lot of people push that away. What's your take on family structure and family systems?
I think it's vital, pivotal, game-changing. If you have healthy people around you,
they have to be healthy.
To call them in and rely on them. This very Western, individualistic. I got this. I'm so reliant. You and I are from a different background. Where we have everyone helping us, right? So I love that's important, because the mother cannot burn out. If the mother burns out, we have nothing left to give. because she's the emotional, nurturing, pivotal center. She's the fountain of that emotional sustenance. And fathers have a different, of course they can be the fountain too, but typically it's the female
Yeah.
who has that. So if she's burning out, she's doing no one any good. So she needs help. So her being a superwoman and trying to do it all is actually her ego, and it's to her detriment. So, I think community, in this book I talk about calling in the brotherhood, calling in the sisterhood. We have to have community.
All right. So you've got these two books,
Yes.
Raising Conscious Sons, Raising Conscious Daughters. I know you're really upset about technology.
Yeah.
Tell us about these two books. What can we find in these books? What can we learn in these books as we move forward?
Wow. So it's been such a journey. I interviewed 100 children to write these books. I did a lot of research and understood not just the science, but what solutions could work. And I have a practice on Zoom.
Yeah.
And I work with parents in a very practical way. So this book is going to lay out the key symptoms we're seeing in this era. What are they? Eating disorders, comparisonitis, perfectionism. Boys are lost. They don't understand what is masculinity anymore, how to be male. They don't know. They're totally confused. They're intimidated. They're committing suicide at rates that are astronomical, alarming. Like we should be ringing the bell every day. Boys are committing suicide. Boys are committing suicide. We should not be resting. We should not fall asleep.
Yeah, we're not talking about that, are we?
Girls are anxious, more depressed than ever. They are, isolating. They are feeling this pressure to be every kind of woman now. She has to be the career woman. She has to hustle. She has to go to the gym. She has to eat healthy. She has to eat organic. She has to be vegan. She has to have children. She has to not have children. She has to have a lover and have many lovers. Have a husband. Not have a husband.
Exhausting.
Yes. She has to figure out who she is. Is she, what pronoun, what? It's too much. So this book outlines all the problems in very clear, easy to understand ways. But then in each chapter, I give solutions. And, as I was writing the solutions, I was like, oh, every parent can do this. It's so easy. But we don't realize the power of our power, right? We don't realize how much power we have. And I train parents, if you make these tweaks 20 minutes a day, your relationship with your children will profoundly change.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't need more than 20 minutes of conscious parenting.
Give us 3 of the tweaks. What are some? Just a sneak tweak peek.
Yeah,
Give us that.
So much. So, for example, with our sons, the most important thing you need to do is stop asking him to use his words. Like stop asking your son questions about how he feels. He is showing you through his body. So begin observing his body. Number 2, I'll tell you.
I was about to be like, what is this body saying?
Few for the boys, few for the girls.
Okay.
So boys kind of, they withdraw and they shut down and you think they're okay because they're like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And they kind of give off this air of indifference and apathy, but that is, their withdrawal is saying something. It's saying, I'm checking out. Don't let me check out. I don't want to be checked out. Come get me. And the way to connect to a boy is only through movement, physical activities, side by side, not face to face.
Not face to face.
Right. Because you know how men are,
Yeah.
and again, these are stereotypes, but they kind of work.
No one get mad at us.
Yeah, don't get mad at us. Don't come yelling at me.
Yeah.
I see it with all my brother, my cousins, but when you're side by side and playing a game and you both are out there at war or, shooting hoops, he will open up. But he will open up not in the way girls open up, right? But you will see his relaxation. And the last thing I'll say about boys is they need their fathers, they need male mentors, they need guides, they need safety. You think boys are not emotional? They have feelings. All children have feelings. The reason why a boy is not accessing them is because he's getting 2 very contrasting messages. On one hand, he's told by all the left-wing politicians and woke people and us women, use your words and use your, tell us about your feelings. So he thinks, okay, I can do that. But then when he does that, then he's got the alt-right and, the macho machismo of the world telling him, he's a wimp and he's
Yeah.
like too much like a girl.
Right.
And that's not being a boy. And that's not being male. So he's kind of like really
Like,
juxtaposed.
which way am I supposed to go?
And too much pressure on the boy. And one more thing about the boys, they have this kind of almost existential nihilism because they're being told college is not important anymore, but their parents are still pushing them. They're being told that AI is going to take all their jobs. So they're like, okay, then what's the point? And they see everything just falling apart and they are being outsourced, right? So boys like to contribute. They like to feel useful. They want to solve problems, right? Most of us in straight adult relationships, we women always complain like, can you not fix my problem? Can
Right.
you just let me complain?
Let me just whine.
Let me just whine.
Yes.
And men just don't get that. I
Right.
do couples
Right.
counseling all the time. I
Right.
go, it's so easy. Just shut up and listen. And they go, but then we feel responsible.
Yeah.
Our boys feel like that too, but everything is taken care of. Uber Eats comes to the door. Uber comes to your doorstep. It's all handled.
Mm.
So the boy is finding very little to be useful for. And if he's not useful, he doesn't see purpose. If he doesn't see purpose, he doesn't see himself.
Mm.
So that's on the boy side.
Okay.
Some of the things. For the girls,
Oh,
oh my
boy.
goodness. Girls.
Oh,
We both have daughters.
yeah,
So
girls.
yeah, they're so amazing, right?
Mhm.
They are so attuned and in touch. And the other day, my daughter told me, these are the 4 things you need to do before you apologize to me. I was
Oh my
like, okay.
gosh. Okay.
You need to acknowledge that you don't know anything. You don't know my reality. You need to be accountable. You need to be something else. I tuned her out. I was like, oh my God, I'm too old for this. Okay. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I will tell you what you need to do, woman. So they're so amazing girls. They're articulate, they're bright, they have their words.
They're sassy.
They're so sad because, their left and right hemisphere is connected. Boys are compartmentalized, girls are fully on. And if they are, raised with a certain amount of love and respect and honor, they're going to be sassy as hell, And I love
Wouldn't
that.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love that. But that means they're empowered.
Right.
Girls today know how to use their voice, most of them, and they can use it. They have the language. They're just so articulate.
Mhm.
However, because girls are relational, right? Because their juice comes from relationships, like women, like us, they need to be in relationship.
Mm.
They need to be seen. So, for example, one thing that girls need is repair.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let your girl go to sleep where you're mad with her and you're not talking to her. You may think I need space. She will die inside because she needs like the circle to be complete and she needs the whole thing to be wrapped up. And much like us adult women,
Yeah.
but girls more so because they are inherently relational. Their prefrontal cortex is not yet developed and they develop their sense of identity through that mirroring. They have a very high, instinct to be in relationship, to be in connection. Their brain lights up with that. So given that, for them to be on social media is hell.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to find themselves through these curated feeds that are irrational, unreliable, unrealistic, and the bar is so high, right? Look at these women on social media. You never see them out on the street, but they're on everything, every post, curated, filtered, doctored, edited. And it really puts pressure on the girl to want to be like that because she's mirroring. She's finding herself through that. And she's finding that she can't be that. Who looks like that? Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? So she wonders who she is because she's not getting real feedback about who she really is in real time. So it's really giving her a distorted perception of who she is. And she can't belong. She's not finding where she belongs. And she takes comparison, she takes criticism to heart because what people say about her is her identity, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Pre-puberty, puberty. Boys are different. Boys get their identity through their achievement, through their autonomy, through their agency. Girls get it through their relationships. So that's why you'll find boys on video games playing to like kill and murder and hunt and find the
Right,
kidnapper.
right.
They're on a mission, right? All of them on their headphones are on a mission. But girls are just scrolling, finding,
Trying to find
looking,
something.
looking for themselves,
Mm.
and becoming more perfectionistic because the internet is perfect, right? Everyone's social media feed is perfect. And they are falling into deep anxiety and depression. And suicidality may not be complete suicide, but a lot of suicidal thoughts, a lot of self-harm,
Yeah,
you know?
I see that.
So this is really, really tragic. And
How do we help our girls then? I mean, even as when does this end for them? I mean, as they hit 16,
I mean,
17?
you're seeing how us women in
Right,
our, 40s, 50s, 60s,
right,
we are insecure.
right.
We are getting plastic surgery up the wazoo. We are. So why shouldn't they be, right?
Mm,
All I'm saying is like, does it ever end?
mhm.
So yes, patriarchy has done a number on us. Yes, patriarchy has objectified us. But at some point, we women have to take charge of our own insecurities
Mm,
and say enough. I'm not going to slaughter myself for an image.
right.
And we have to teach our daughters. So how we are in the mirror, how we are at home, right? How obsessed we are with our appearance. The more your daughter sees you as a mother unconditionally accepting of yourself, she will indoctrinate that, right?
Mm,
Now, of course, she's going to go to college and there's going to be other influences.
right.
But in the early years, and that's why I wrote these books and I devoted one to each sex
Yeah.
because there's so much to write.
Right.
In the early years, we need to really give our daughters a voice and hear them and see them for who they are, not for how they look,
Mm,
and be very careful about the messages that culture gives them about their worth and their identity, and start teaching them early that culture will objectify you and this is how you combat it, and it's not easy.
yeah. What are traps that parents fall into very easily that they may be unaware of, things that we may say or things we may do and we don't even realize, that
Well,
this is
yeah,
set up,
yeah. I think partly due to my work as well, we may have swung and overcompensated the other way. So we were raised with the traditional parenting where it was the child is seen, not heard. The child does what the parent says, and
Strict
you are my
discipline. Yep.
my mini me, and you will just follow the tradition.
Yes. Yep.
And then when I came on the scene and I taught conscious parenting, I taught that we need to be accountable. We need to own our unhealed baggage. We
Right.
need to look at ourselves.
Right.
But I think people have taken that and the whole new age movement too
Gentle
far.
parenting too.
And to the point where we are now so careful of our children's feelings that we are creating fragility.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So there's a fine line, right? And conscious parenting is not permissive parenting. It's very boundaried. It's very based in reality, right? So the other day, a couple came to me with an overweight daughter
Mm-hmm.
who was medically obese, okay? And they were like, well, we don't want to hurt her feelings and we don't know what to say. And,
Right.
And I said the same thing as I tell other people. I said, if your daughter had poor eyesight, wouldn't you take her to get glasses, or would that hurt her feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, your daughter doesn't have to like what you say because children don't like what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do it with compassion, if you do it with connection, and if you tell your child, it's just like your eyes need help, your body, your metabolism needs help. Let me help you. You don't do it through shaming. You don't do it through blaming, right? I'll tell you another example. A single mother came to me, her daughter's 22, and she has not been to college and does not leave the house and goes for a few hours of, a little job, but barely earning anything. And the mother is like, what do I do? If I tell her, you need to get a job, she's going to abandon me. She's going to go to the father. But see, we're so afraid that we're being negligent, right? So I had to teach this mother, no, you will be a negligent mother if you allow her to do nothing all day as an adult and eat your food in the fridge, live in your apartment, use your electricity and water, and contribute nothing.
Yeah.
That is not developmentally appropriate. So I said the conscious thing to do is to be in reality. And reality goes by the developmental level of your child, not the age, not the chronological age. What is the child capable of? If your child is developmentally appropriate to do something by themselves, sure, you can indulge them, but they should be able to do it. Because if not, you may be enmeshed with them, right? But again, the fundamental principle of conscious parenting is everything is done through the parent looking at their own issues, so they're not dumping their own garbage,
Right.
and with a deep compassion
Yeah.
for our children. Everything comes from connection. Once you're good in the connection and your child needs to understand you're not judging them, you're not shaming them, you're on their team, you will never abandon them. You will never, ever, ever not be there for them. But you need to get a job.
Right.
But your numbers of your body fat or whatever, your insulin,
Right.
your fasting
We
insulin.
can't change those. That's the
Those
reality.
are reality.
Yeah.
So conscious parenting is so powerful. And that's what I teach in these books, because it gives you solutions in such an aligned way that it teaches you to be attuned to what your child is going through, not what you think they should go through. Who is the child I have? Not the child I wish I had or I should have had because I'm an amazing parent.
It was so hard for me because my daughter is very different from me in some ways, very similar in other ways, but different in the sense of her creativity, her goals. Just there were some differences, right? And I had to learn. I had to literally spiritually grow to be able to parent her and understand that she wasn't wired, or maybe it's not even wiring. Maybe she wasn't raised in the same circumstances that I was
no
raised
wired,
in.
no raised.
You know, so she's not going to think in this way. She's going to think in a very different way. It was a season of growth to get there.
Well, she was your firstborn, right? You were raised in a kind of, I can imagine,
Yes,
right?
you already know. You already know.
A cookie cutter traditional.
You will be this. You will be that. Don't you? You're going to be disowned.
Right.
I was disowned about 7 times, from 16, 17 through about 25, 26.
Because you weren't falling in line.
Correct. Because I was
You weren't bringing home the gold medal.
Correct.
You weren't making your
Correct.
parents proud.
Yeah.
So it was very conditional, very transactional.
Very conditional. Correct.
And you hadn't yet grown up in
Right.
terms of your own evolution.
Right.
But now you are, and your
Right.
daughter is part of that awakening.
Right.
But so when we grow up from that traditional cookie cutter mentality, which is really most parents,
Yeah.
we immediately project onto our daughter kind of the same thing, right? That ownership. You were owned, right? You're thinking I was owned.
Facts.
I was
Yeah.
cattle in my
Right.
parents' farm.
Yeah.
She'll be a little bit of a cattle,
Right.
not so much. The farm will be bigger
Right.
and it'll be in America.
A little
but
bit nicer.
it'll be nicer. I'll ask her whether she wants cheese or
Right.
salami or whatever. I'll give her options, but
Yeah.
it'll be my farm.
Yeah.
And hell no, your daughter is raised in a different time and she's wired differently. And the same thing happened to me. That's why very quickly I learned how to do conscious parenting, because I too did not recognize my daughter in me.
Yeah.
It's because she was being herself, but I projected my own image. I wanted her to be like me.
Yeah.
And how narcissistic is that?
I know.
So once I figured it out, and thank goodness I figured it out a little
Yeah.
earlier, but I
Yeah.
still had issues
Yeah.
because the ego is strong. I was able to release that and now
Right.
help other parents do the same.
It's so important. I always say to younger people, like, being a parent is a spiritual journey. You are responsible for your own emotional triggers and your own emotional regulation to be able to handle conflict. And I would add now, like, you are also responsible for your cortisol and your stress levels,
Yeah.
which is part of why I wanted you on this
Yeah.
show. Because again, if that ecosystem within the home doesn't create a soothing environment or one where children can
Yes.
speak or
Yes.
feel seen or heard or connect,
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
have somebody else waiting for them. And
Right.
it's not another person. They've
No.
got a whole world of gadgetry
Right.
waiting for them.
And I'll give you another technique that's really good for emotional regulation, especially when they're driving you bananas
Right.
and they're triggering the hell out of you. I do this and my daughter sometimes gets annoyed with me, but it works amazingly. So I'll say things like, I can see that you're triggered and I choose not to be triggered.
Mm.
So, and I'll talk through my process. So I'm just going to breathe right now. So I'm just going to breathe one time, then I'm going to breathe. So I'll just narrate the whole thing because I'm trying to freaking not freak out. Okay?
Right.
So I'm like, what do you want? You want me to freak out right now? Because I'll freak out. Because you're freaking out, but I'm not going to freak out.
Right.
And but what it does, it interrupts the freak out, but it also teaches the skills, and it actually does calm you down. But you have to remember to do that. You have to do that. You have to. So what I teach in all my books is that the parent has to activate their own self-talk. They have to learn to talk to themselves and say things like, calm the F down, like, relax, she's just 7 years old. Don't smash her head into, like, you have to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to become your parent that you never had growing up. And you never learned these skills. You never learned this third voice, right, to keep you in check, right, between you, the trigger, and so you need to create the third voice. That's the adult self that is training you in the moment. Calm down, take it easy, right? We didn't have a coach.
Someone sitting on
yeah,
your
a
shoulder
coach. You need to activate your own coach and do it in real time. And it's, for me, it works in 2 seconds, like. Because the minute I remember to use it, see, once you remember to use it, then you're going to use it. And then you realize I have to stay regulated here so that they can borrow my nervous system because they have lost theirs. It never found them, right? They never had one. So the best I can do in this moment is let them borrow mine. But how will they borrow it? They can observe it. That's one way. But it's even better if I tell her what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? And now when her dog is acting crazy, she'll go and calm the dog down. Calm down. Take a deep breath.
There we go.
There you go.
This is so fascinating. You know, I only recently learned about mirror neurons and this idea of co-regulation and co-emotional, control within a system or a family unit. I'm sure it applies to work units as well. But, it's still a message of hope, as frustrating as it is, because if we can do this within our homes, maybe we can win against AI and technology and all the other forces.
We can win. We can win if we take the power back, if we reclaim our parenting, and we decide that first we have to enter our own worth.
Right.
We have to believe that our children want to be with us. We have to believe that they want us more than anything else in the world. We have to believe that. Like we are powerful. We are important. We are life-giving. And then we have to access that life-giving energy and show up life-giving. So if you show up shaming, critical, demeaning, derogatory, your child is not going to come to you. But if you show up like a light and you see the light in them, they will choose you. They may not immediately choose you, but they will be willing to choose you. But you have to be the light that sees their light. But if you're a grouchy, distracted, anxious, stressed out human being who's always telling them, pick up your shoes, eat properly, go eat your beans, and that vibration, why would they come to you? They would rather escape into their dopamine cycle of just easy, easy adrenaline, easy feel-good emotions.
Oh my gosh. We need these books. We need these tools.
Yeah, these books are a wake-up call.
Yeah.
They are wake-up call. Ideally, they should be read together because when you read them all, then you use some from here, some from there. And together, they will give you, 36 chapters of amazing tools and strategies and the science behind it.
Well, it's such important work. You've always been doing important work, and I am so thrilled and honored that you're here today. I hope parents everywhere are watching, listening, sharing, and making sure. I mean, I wish I had more of this information, when I was in the throes of parenting. I'm sure I'm going to continue to need it. We're not out of the woods yet, but thank you again for taking time out today to be with us. This has been so amazing. I do want to ask you a final question, but I think I know the answer. What makes you whole?
What is my answer?
I think you're going to say it is being in connection with others, maybe more specifically being in connection with your children, your daughter. So I don't know.
I think for me, it's very close. It's being in connection with this mission to help parents become more conscious, I mean, my daughter's amazing and I love my relationship, but that's not really, I don't want to live through that.
Right.
Right.
That's fair.
I have my own thing, which
Yeah.
is this connection to this important work, which is to help parents wake up so that we can do parenting the way we intended to, which we all came into this journey wanting to do our best.
Right.
But somehow we got too triggered.
We got lost.
We got too triggered, you know?
And stressed.
Yeah.
Overly triggered, overly stressed, and again, raised in cultures that tell us something else is more important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So thank you again for
Thank
taking
you.
time with me today. I've loved it. Thank you, everybody else, for watching and listening to this episode of Whole Plus. We will see you guys next time. Before you go, remember, healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in moments. If today's episode gave you one of those moments, subscribe and keep learning with me. The next video is right here, and it picks up right where this one left off.